Hey everybody, my name is Brian. That is Matthew Kadish with the Salty Nerd Podcast. Shane is not here today. Shane is dealing with some very frustrating, complicated things. So send all your well wishes and prayers his way so he can make that happen. He really wanted to be here today, but it was just impossible with the amount of people that he's got, the amount of calls and business people he's got to deal with. It's very complicated. I don't know any of that. I just make cool videos. So
I think you should just start referring to me as Evil Shane.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm like his doppelganger.
I'm here with Evil Shane.
Yeah, with the goatee. Yeah.
We're talking about some pretty impressive stuff today. Right this morning, we heard that Alec Baldwin is apparently gonna get arrested for manslaughter. He might deserve more than that, which we're going to talk about. Also, Fake News Friday. Doomcock versus Indiana Jones. That's going to be fun. The Weekly Terry as usual, but this time it's a little more juicy. Stargate is coming back to Prime, or I guess it's back on Prime. Everyone's confused.
Sort of,
right? Chris Pratt of the Guardians of the Galaxy is probably going to join DC. We're going to speculate on what he's going to be playing. And Scott Bakula is probably returning to Star Trek at some point. But I don't think so. So the article implied that he could be returning to Star Trek because he had this one-off little statement he made about maybe it could be, but we're still going to talk about that. And Screen Rant came out with a very interesting article about how James Gunn's Superman reboot is very similar to the Batman. And we're going to talk about all that. But first, how's everyone doing in the chat? Dork Knight, Penny, Donnie, Archmage, Chappie, Josh. Am I getting everyone? Jeremy, what's up, bro? Kenneth, my man. And then Kenneth says, hey, guys, I should be able to make it today. Good. Yeah, so it's going to be a fun show. What's going on with you, Matt?
Oh, well, we were at the Salty Nerd Studios earlier today trying to get our internet set up. So that was an adventure and a half.
Oh.
But, yeah, we're trying to strike that balance between content creation and trying to start up a new business. So it's a lot of work, but we're seemingly managing it. And we also got day jobs on top of all that stuff. So
yeah, no, I know exactly how it feels. Creating content, having a job, attempting to start new projects all at the same time it's quite a task. If you noticed, we have not uploaded on the Prime channel in 10 or 12 days, right? We started working on that definitive history that I told you about, and we had a couple snags, and then right around the time we were getting those snags worked out, Shane has to deal with this massive headache. Yeah. So, and he's the voice, man. He's the voice. So
he's the voice.
Can't do it without the voice, you know?
Yeah, but we got our Salty Saturdays to keep us focused and fun.
That's true. That is true. We do Salty Saturdays. Every Salty Saturday at 10 a.m.
And, it's funny. I was talking to Shane yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he was like, I don't think Brian's ever committed to something like he has with Salty Saturdays. I'm surprised that he wasn't just one and done with that. So I'm like, Brian's a member of the crew.
Yeah. I don't, Shane's right. I don't normally commit to anything outside what I'm doing, like personally. It's like podcast and day job stuff, and but the Salty Saturday show is fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. A lot of fun. And I got to hang out with my bros and talk about nerd stuff, and I get to get a little more angry on that show than I do on this show. So it's very
everything
cathartic.
Goes on Salty Saturdays.
Yeah, it's very cathartic for me. So, all right. So before we jump into the first Alec Baldwin thing, I do want to mention real quick that we have multiple channels, but specifically if you come here and you're like, I really like the DC stuff, Superman, James Gunn stuff, remember we have DC Unleashed, and the link's in the description. just, when you got a chance, if you want to go subscribe to that. When that channel does get to its 1,000 mark, we'll be putting live streams on that channel too. In addition to everything else we do, for sure.
Aren't you starting up an Indiana Jones channel?
No, I'm not. and just to be clear, just because I disagree with Doomcock on everything Indiana Jones, I'm not saying Indiana Jones is going to be great, which we're going to talk about more about that. Someone was like, how do you know it's going to be good? I'm like, I never said it was going to be good. I'm just saying he's wrong. Or more than likely wrong. That's all I said. All right, let's jump into it. Let's talk about this Alec Baldwin thing, shall we?
Okay.
All right. If you guys weren't aware, Alec Baldwin shot someone in the face. I'm sorry, not in the chest. So he was on the set of a movie called Rust. He was filming. He was given a gun by his producer, and then he shot someone with said gun. That person died, and someone else ended up in the hospital. And let me fix your. Oh my God, you're a mess down here. Look at this. What is going on?
I don't know.
It's
your show, man.
I'm gonna fix this, but I don't use StreamYards like everyone else does. Maybe I should.
Yeah, come to the dark side. But yes, the woman who died on the Rust shoot was the cinematographer, and typically, I guess the armorer on this movie somehow actually had live ammunition in this gun. It was given to Alec Baldwin. He didn't check it, but actors usually aren't supposed to check those things. We usually just assume that everything has been done according to safety standards. And when he used the gun in the scene, he hit the cinematographer in the chest, killed her. And I guess the bullet passed through her and hit someone else and injured them. But it was a really tragic accident. This was a movie that Alec Baldwin was producing, as well as starring in. And it got shut down immediately after this tragedy. And there's been all types of legal wrangling going on around this movie. I think it's going to be finished, if I'm not mistaken. They're actually going to try to finish this movie. But there's such a cloud hanging over this thing. It's very bizarre. And Alec Baldwin has enough enemies just out in the world that they're kind of pushing for him to be punished in some way for what he inadvertently did to this woman.
Right.
And I know that initially there was an investigation and he was kind of cleared, but manslaughter, he is guilty of manslaughter. Manslaughter just has to do with doesn't matter whether you meant to kill someone or not, you killed someone.
Right.
And so, that's what manslaughter is. He's not going to be brought up on first degree or second degree murder, whatever. It's manslaughter. And it doesn't matter that he wasn't at fault. He didn't load the gun. He didn't know the gun was loaded, but he was responsible for killing this person. And so,
yeah, he was trying to argue that he wasn't responsible because someone handed him the weapon.
Yeah, but the fact that he was the one who was directly responsible for the death means it's kind of like when you accidentally hit someone with your car and it kills them. It's you're guilty of manslaughter. So it wouldn't carry as heavy of a fine or prison term as something like murder, but I think he may not be able to get out of this because it's a pretty clear-cut case of manslaughter.
Yeah. So additionally, let's just recap what we learned last year and then what we know today. Additionally, the PAs on the set and the producers and some of the staff, they were firing the guns. They were playing with the guns basically off hours. Additionally, the actual movie was filled in with a lot of temporary staff. They were trying to cut cost, and there was a lot of stuff going on around that whole thing. So a lot of inexperienced people that didn't really know what they were doing. They were coming into this thing. They weren't being paid well. They were playing around on set. So a lot of that adds to it. But then today we found out they also found live ammunition on Alec Baldwin's belt. I'm not sure how that works. maybe in a pouch or something, but it was on his belt, the belt he was wearing when he shot the weapon. And he had a very good point that how can he have checked the weapon before firing it? That wasn't his job. In fact, it would be even more sus if the actor was playing with the weapon before firing it, because that's not his job. He's not the weapons expert. So I got that. But why did he have live ammunition on his person then?
Well, but that could be like a costume designer thing, because it's easy to just buy bullets and put them in a belt that those bullets are never going to get used. It's like a bandolier type thing.
Okay.
So this is a Western. Rust is a Western film, and Alec Baldwin plays like a gunslinger in it. So it would make sense that, a typical gun holster would have like, bullet, places to like slot bullets that you could take out and reload your gun with. So like, to me, that's just like a costume design thing. So I don't think he was like taking live ammunition out and putting it in the gun. You are right that this production was widely criticized as being like kind of like a fly by night thing, because on the Salty Nerd podcast, we've even talked to actors who kind of educated us on the process of handling guns on set. And they were like, there's no good reason why this should have happened on Rust, because right. Like if you're just following basic safety standards, the first assistant director, I think, is the one who has to like hand the gun to the actor, and he's responsible for checking it before he hands the gun, and conferring with the armorer who has to maintain these weapons and make sure that everything is up to safety standards. And like there's a bunch of stuff that is just industry standard. It's in place. Hundreds of thousands of productions go out every year using guns and weapons, and no one ever gets killed on them. But like this was like just one of those weird perfect storm moments where like everyone was so negligent on this thing, and it was because they were cutting costs and they had like inexperienced crews and stuff like that. So but long story short, involuntary manslaughter, like there's no way that he's not guilty of that.
Right. I mean, yeah, but it's funny because his lawyer says we will fight these charges and we will win. I'm not sure how you do. It's literally on tape.
With enough money, you can get out of it. But
some people were comparing this to Brendan Lee. Is that right? Brendan Lee.
Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee. But you see, that was different though, because it was the slug that was pushed by the blank or something like that. It wasn't like it was loaded with live ammunition, right? It was a blank, and the cap of the blank pushed like a slug that was in the chamber, and that was completely different set of.
I want to say that there was like a bullet point that was like lodged in that gun that right. The blank, expunged or like whatever. I forget, because like when we reviewed The Crow, I actually like went back over this, and I want to say that you're correct, but I feel like there might have been like some type of live ammo in that situation as well. That was another freak accident type thing. It was really bad.
Right. Well, however you feel about Alec Baldwin, I think Matt's right. Pretty much, it's involuntary manslaughter. So we're not saying he meant to do it. I know there's some people out there that are like, yeah, he probably did. He's a hothead. I don't know.
There's no way he meant to actually like, kill the cinematographer on his movie. You know what I think is going to happen with this? I think he's going to be found guilty. He's going to get a slap on the wrist. He's going to go do a little bit of prison time at like a country club place, and get out in like 6 to 18 months, something like that. And then get on with his life. I don't think he's going to serve any hard time. I don't think he's going to be punished in any significant way. And honestly, like, I don't think he should be punished I don't think he should be punished in a significant way, simply because like he did not intend for this to happen, obviously. Right. And he probably feels terrible about it, because, he's one of those bleeding hearts who was for gun control and, like wants to save the planet and stuff like that. So right. I doubt that he actually wanted to ever actually be responsible for somebody's death. But at the same time, it's like this is the law, and he is guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So he's gonna get some punishment, but I don't think it's gonna be as bad as like if like you or I accidentally killed someone.
Oh yeah, I'd be going away for the rest of my life. Kenneth said here, like Ezra. No, Ezra got off way light. The guy's paying a $692 fine and a suspended sentence, which is basically a year probation.
Yeah, he's got to do like community service or something, doesn't
he? Yeah, he got off real light on his troubles.
They got off real light.
Oh, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. They.
Does that mean he has to do like double the community service?
Right, because it's plural.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for that. Let's move on. We're gonna go to the Weekly Terry first. So what we're gonna do here in order. We're gonna do a Weekly Terry, and then Fake News Friday. Then we're gonna do the Stargate news, and then in the members section we'll be doing the Guardians, Scott Bakula, and the the James Gunn Superman timeline. Apparently, James Gunn is going to be laying out like the entire Bible by the end of the month.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. And someone was like, "Oh, where's the Bible at?" He goes, "It's only the 18th." Like, oh, so when he said like the beginning of the year, I thought he was referring to like the first quarter of the year, But no, he's talking about like the first month. Okay.
Oh no, man, he's hitting the ground running.
Yeah, he is. All right, so let's jump to the Weekly Terry next.
Can I just say that I was confused by the Weekly Terry because there's a typo in his tweet?
Oh yes, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. All right, here we go. Oh man, every single time.
You want to do it again, and we can be like do over the graphics.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. Nope, it's not working.
Nope.
It's just the audio is just refuses to work apparently. Okay.
Weekly Terry.
Whatever. This is the Weekly Terry, my friends. I'm here with Matt this week, and we are talking about Star Trek Picard Season 3, and of course, Terry Matalis. This week, we got some interesting information to share with you. First off, it appears that the original voice of the computer and the various ships in Star Trek will not be the voice in this upcoming season. And some people were critical about it, and Terry responded. So we're just going to jump right into this. So what this person on Twitter said, John, I can't pronounce his last name. Terry Matalis, who's the voice of the computer now? It's not Majel, sadly. And Terry responded with, there are multiple voices, one for civilian, and one for Starfleet. All will be revealed soon. I also noticed that Terry's tone has been softened up a little bit as we get closer to the premiere. Someone responded to him, "Bad call, Terry. Should be the first lady voicing." He said, "Oh man, you didn't hear? She passed away 15 years ago." So he's being cheeky. Okay, and then it looks like Terry blocked him. Okay.
Well, with AI voice changers, what they are nowadays, you could get that voice back, I'm sure.
Yeah, so he addressed that. So he did respond to a Screen Rant article. He said Starfleet and civilian computer voices will each be voiced by different actresses in season 2. He meant season 3, just to be clear. He meant season 3.
It'd be funny if he actually meant season 2.
Oh, he's just recreating season 2.
Yeah. He's just ignoring season 2. He's like, it's kind of like how there are only four Indiana Jones movies. So.
Right. And someone responded with, "Listen, I'm not usually the change bad camp, but I'm oddly disappointed by this. With the hours available lines and deepfakes, there's no way you couldn't keep Majel, even if you altered it to reflect the evolution of AI in Starfleet. Picard could have been beautiful." All right, Terry has a good point here. He said, "Time and money, or I can spend that bringing back a legacy character on screen. Fans may not love to hear this, but TV shows actually have a finite amount of time and resources. You can't dial up some subpar deepfake on a website and call it a day. If you're going to do it right." Good point. However, right when I read that, I remember going, wait a minute, isn't there a library of all of her responses? Because I watched a talk a while ago where they were talking about before she passed away, they recorded a ton of lines. So there's like a whole library, right?
Yeah, but you know what this really comes down to is vocal rights. Like if they used any of her stuff, they'd have to like work out some type of like licensing or royalty structure with her estate or whoever, you know, is in charge, whoever she left her vocal rights to. So
Interesting.
there's probably some like legal issue surrounding it where Paramount just doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Someone did mention it. They were like, she passed away, but Rod Roddenberry said there was a phonetics library. She recorded her voice. And Terry said, I certainly wasn't aware of this library, but I'm sure on day with the right technology and budget, just listen to what they did with Earl James' voice. He was definitely a little tipsy as he started writing this, I could say.
Well, I don't know if you've looked into any of these AI voice changers that can actually like change your voice in real time as you're like talking into them. They're really amazing. And what they've done is like they hire different voice actors and they have them like do like a bunch of different lines that the computer then analyzes, like with like tonal shifts and things like that, and makes it so like, you know, as you're speaking with a different voice. Like I could be speaking with a woman's voice right now with some of these AI voice changers. But instead of that text to speech type jilt to them, you actually get like the emotion in the voice and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that eventually Hollywood, like every major actor in Hollywood is going to have their voice scanned. So like they could hire other actors to come in and act as them using their voice. So like, you know, this is the future, man. This is where everything's headed. Pretty soon we won't even need real live actors anymore. It'll all just be deep fake CGI stuff.
Yeah, dude, AI is just taking
crazy.
over.
It's absolutely crazy.
I was just fiddling with Midjourney yesterday, and it is.
I've been playing with Midjourney a lot. Yeah,
it's is
crazy
insane
what you can do with that.
The things you can do, like I literally put like Olivia Munn as Miranda from Mass Effect 3, and it spit out Olivia Munn as Miranda from Mass Effect 3. I was like shocked.
Well, it also helps that Olivia Munn was in the Mass Effect games. So,
wait, was she?
Yes, she was digitized as a side character, and it was either Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But yeah. So
I know.
They already had all the CG aspects for her.
Miranda was played by, not by her though. It was played by Yvonne. I can't.
Yeah, Strahovski.
Yeah, the same actress from like Chuck and Dexter. Yeah.
And was it the Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale, which I hated that show. I love the actress. Did not.
If you ever want to watch a show that makes you feel bad, just watch that show.
Yeah. It was interesting though because I have hundreds of hours now of Shane's voice, and I'm like, can I train an AI to do Shane's voice and just save Shane a ton of time?
I think you could basically train an AI to do anyone's voice if you have enough of their voice.
I have so much of Shane's voice. So I have a lot of Shane's voice and a lot of his video. Next time you have to fill in, I'll just deep fake him and his voice over you and see what happens.
Well, have you seen these deep fake avatars, or I'm sorry, AI avatars that basically, like you can basically put in a bunch of text, and then like these real looking people speak the text like a normal human being.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen that, and I've seen the wireframe things where you can actually, like, say you're live streaming a video game, and you can actually wireframe a completely different person over you, and you're like responding and streaming, but it's certainly not you doing it.
And they do that with anime characters too, where like you can put an anime character over yourself or like a CGI character.
When I first saw that, I was like, okay, so the VTubers or the V streamers, I get that, though, you know. But then when I saw one where I didn't even know that it was a VTuber or a V streamer until like it glitched a little bit, and I'm like, holy crap! This person is deep faking a person over him or her. I don't even know.
Yeah, I saw this new AI thing where basically like you could take a piece of Midjourney art, like let's say you create a character profile
Mm-hmm.
in Midjourney, you can then import it into this AI thing and it'll move the mouth and make it look like the picture's talking. So it kind of auto animates it for
Oh
you.
wow.
So like you could set an audio file to it and it'll perfectly match the phonetics of what's being said as like a piece of art. It's like a talking. It's basically like auto animates, a character for you,
That's
and it
wild.
even like moves their head a little, makes it look more natural, like when they do it. I don't know if you've because you're a video editor.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of these AI video editing tools that have been coming out?
I have, yeah. So I actually got one recently that was able to analyze the video or the sound or whatever, and then like remove the silence and the uhs and the uhs and the different breathing. And I was like, this is gonna save me hours of time, right?
Yeah.
Because Shane has a wonderful voice, but he also has like certain things that I have to cut out a lot. And I tried using it for the first time, and it was an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
It cut out so much of it. It was like Shane looked like Max Headroom. He was like, so I don't know if it was me or what. I mean, I played with the settings a lot. I could not get it correct. But you can clearly see the technology is going that way. In fact, now that the algorithm is running everything, that's one problem Shane's having right now. Shane's dealing with a company where like the algorithm is sort of just determined factors for our business, where the people in charge at the business are like, well, try this and try that, and they don't even know how their own system works, and they're just trying to help Shane get the algorithm back to like a positive place. It's wild that it's at what point do have the computers just sort of taken over, and we don't even know because we're getting paid by a digital computer somewhere. Everything is happening digitally. Like it's almost like I never put a lot of credit into that dead internet theory, but the more and more I look at how algorithms just sort of control everything, I'm like, well, maybe the dead internet theory is a little ludicrous, but there's a shadow of that might be true, and we just don't know it yet. And AI is going to get to the point where we can be having these conversations in 2 years, and it won't even be us. It's wild.
Save us a lot of time, wouldn't it?
It would. Hey, John Burns super chat. Oh crud! Looks like I got in the wrong channel. Not sure if you'll see the other 4 super chats I sent. My bad. Oh, my bad. Let me. I'll go. I wasn't logged into that channel either. I usually don't jump into the members channel until about halfway through. Let me go check it out. But yeah, that's about it for the weekly Terry. The interesting thing about what he was saying there is, and I know people were like, "Oh, he's trying to defend himself." I don't think Terry's trying to defend himself. I think Terry's just trying to give people as much information as he can without spoiling it. And I think that he puts a lot of information out there, and some people don't understand that the show, that little spoiler I think they're getting that they're bothered about, like there's context to it. It makes sense in the story, but he can't explain the story or he's going to ruin it for you. So when he talks about, that line where Worf's like says he's a pacifist or whatever, that line is so out of context. It's great for the trailer. It doesn't mean Worf is all of a sudden a pacifist. Like there's certain things. So he keeps sharing information. I almost think maybe just stop sharing information. And that's not good for our show that we do, Weekly Terry, because we use his information. But the more he shares, the more people get annoyed because they're not understanding the context of what he's sharing. Like people were complaining about the music or the way the Titan looked, and they just don't get it. Like when they see it, they'll understand context. It's not there's a reason for all of these wonderful things, whether you think they're wonderful or not. And you're gonna have to look at the show. So, and by the way, if it's just your first time here, we give it full endorsement. Shane and I saw it, and it's fantastic. And can't wait.
I have not seen it, and I'm still skeptical because 2 terrible, terrible seasons of Picard. It's it could be the greatest season of TV ever, season 3, but going into it, they've squandered a lot of goodwill from the fan base, I think.
No, and I totally get that. Totally understand that. But I also agreed that season 1 was a travesty. And while I had hope for season 2, we were reviewing it every week. You saw me.
As were we.
Yeah, I was with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
In real time, I was blackpilled by season 2.
You started off, oh, no, this is
Right.
good. And then by the end, you were just like, kill me now.
You can go back and watch, and you can just take pieces of my conversation and watch my face go from this to that real quick.
But you know what's funny is so the first 2 episodes of Picard season 1 were like pretty good, and the first 2 episodes of Picard season 2 were pretty good, and so like those initial 2 episodes of each season gave us like a lot of false hope, and then as the season went on, it was just like and so like even if season 3 is good and the first 2 episodes are good, people are going to be like, I'm not being fooled.
Right.
You know, like the first 2 episodes of the previous seasons were good too.
And that's someone asked on Twitter, like, oh, well, you've only seen the first couple of episodes, though. We had that. We were fooled by the first couple of episodes the first time. I'm like, no, that's not the whole thing. It's great. In fact, while the first episode, in my opinion, is going to grab you like immediately, the second episode drags a little bit because it's sort of setting up what's to come. And you're just going to have to see it. You have to see it. And I don't know what to tell you, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I'm not saying it's the best episode, the series on TV ever. I'm saying that it's probably, if I had to compare it to a TV show, I would compare it to like, as far as like success and what it adds to the franchise, like Better Call Saul or something like that. Like it makes previous Star Trek better.
Do you know, is Terry going to be doing anything else in the Star Trek universe after season 3?
I mean, I hope so, but I hope so.
But I guess we'll talk about this more when we get to the Scott Bakula segment.
Yeah, when we get to the member, look, here's the deal. I can't share more than that here, but I can tell you this: if you're a member, I will share more about that information in the member section, where I'm not recorded and I won't get in trouble. All right, that's it for Weekly Terry. Listen, hit the subscribe button on the way to the comment section. Let us know what you guys think about Picard Season 3. All right, we had some super chats in the member section that I did not see. John Burns, someone else, the director, but no one cares. Oh, he's talking about Alec Baldwin. He also said Baldwin's own stuntman was fired after 2 accidents. I guess, yeah, but isn't Baldwin like a hothead? He is, right?
Yeah.
He's
notoriously got a bad temper.
Right. Wait, lawyers should be honest. I totally... Lawyers are... I'm dealing with a lawyer right now, and it was such a surreal experience. So my wife was in a car accident last Monday, and it's been a nightmare, dude. So some lady driving her boyfriend's 2001 BMW convertible took a corner, and she drifted into the lane and just smacked my wife's car, right, on her passenger side. She gets out, she curses my wife out, and then starts running down the street like by herself. The lady has her sister in the car, and her sister's just stunned. She doesn't even know what happened. I show up on the scene, and the BMW is like covered in decals and all kinds of weird stuff. And I'm like, okay, so this is not going to be a good, like, there's no way this guy has insurance. Right? No one has a BMW and insurance if they have stickers on them. And it's fine. We have the no non-insurance thing in California where like our car is still going to get taken care of. And we're doing all the right things. We call the claim thing, we get it down there, we get it down to the collision place, and they're douchebags. They literally tear the car down. They give us like this lowball estimate. We're like, yeah, well, make sure it's correct, bro. And my wife is fine. She has some back problems right now. She had to actually like, she's like really sore, but like nothing like she's not going to die or something. I'm sure she'll be okay. And then they recheck it. And they're like, I'm telling you, first, the car company was like, it's going to cost $1,500 to fix your car. And my insurance company was like, okay, cool. All right, knock that out. That's well below the value. Like, that's well below the value of the car. In California, there's something like the 70% rule, where if the cost of the repair is going to be more than 70% of the car, then they salvage it, which is the worst thing you can do for a car. It's called a total loss, and they put a salvage on the title, and now even if you get it repaired, you can never resell it for the value. It's the worst thing. Then the place goes, wait, you know what? It's actually going to cost 10 grand to fix the car because you have this, and this. I don't understand how it literally went up 10 times in a matter of a day and a half. My insurance company is was trying to salvage it immediately. I'm confused. They're being rude. I'm like, you know what? This ain't working. So I call a lawyer, dude. I straight up just called a lawyer. And most of the time when I talk to lawyers, I feel icky inside because like they're just such dirtbags.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy was my dirtbag.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had this feeling of like warmth when he was like, oh no, we're gonna get these guys. And I'm like, oh yeah. I have my own dirtbag on my side this time. It's no longer the dirtbags coming after me. I have a dirtbag that's gonna do my dirty work. And it feels good, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's an a-hole, but he's our a-hole.
He's our a-hole. Yeah. And now super chat from Mexican Iron Man. Hail, Brian. Hey, who is the super smart, good-looking guy on the right side of my screen?
Evil Shane.
Looks like the Fancy Pants YouTuber. Happy Thursday, boys. I'm driving to OC this weekend. Yeah, come on down, bro. Let's get a steak. Also, Andre Anderson, first super chat. I haven't seen you before. Happy to see a salty nerd here. Of course. Okay, so we're going to jump into the next story. Thank you, my friends, for the super chats. Very, very nice. It's Fake News Friday time. I don't know if we're going to agree on this one.
Friday.
I don't know if we're going to agree on this one, Matt. But you know what? We're going to try. We're going to try to agree.
Agree to disagree?
I don't know. Let's see. Fake News Friday.
Fake News Friday. Fake News Friday. There you go. Worked perfectly.
This is Fake News Friday, and today we are talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Specifically, a rumor that came out from our boy Doomcock, and then immediately reported on by like 15 garbage websites and a couple websites that I don't think are garbage, and that said their rumors. Here's the deal. What Doomcock said was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's role has been significantly reduced. Okay. So, let's break this down real quick. If you recall, wrong link. If you recall, Doomcock for the last couple months was saying what, Matt? You remember what he was saying?
Yeah, he was saying that Indiana Jones was going to die and Phoebe Waller-Bridge was going to take over as the new Indiana Jones in spirit.
Right. And just to be clear, Shane and I said that was completely false. We talked to a couple sources that some of our contemporaries also have talked to. And they said that's not happening. That's some 4chan troll nonsense. There's no way that's real. And we even made a video about it. We made a video that probably very few of you guys have seen. It's on our Prime channel. It's called, I'll put it in the description. It's about this whole situation. It's about Mangold and the theories and everything. And here's the problem with this theory, and this is why I'm calling it fake news. And you know what? And in no way am I hating the player here, but I'm gonna hate the game because this is like a checkmate for Doomcock. Doomcock can be. They're reducing her role. She's no longer gonna take the hat, and he can say all this. He can completely backflip on everything he said for three or 4 months, and it looks like they're doing it because of his statements. So now when it comes out and he was wrong in the first place, but now he's changing his story and now he's right. Are you seeing a problem with this?
I mean, CNN does it all the time.
Okay, you're right. CNN does do that. I just recently saw CNN. I just saw a CNN report where like this doctor was talking about how they mislabeled the coof deaths for the last 2 years.
70%.
Yeah, so much, bro. And they got to get to the bottom of it. Dude, people have been saying that for like 3 years straight.
Oh, you know, 70% of the people that we said died from COVID didn't actually die from COVID.
That is
Sorry.
unbelievable. Where's your little ticker there now? Where's the death count, CNN? You guys took it off the screen. Where's the death count? Bring it back. Bring it back and change the number to 70% less than what it was before, please.
But you know why they're doing that is because they want to frame it so that they can say that when Democrats were in charge, the number of COVID deaths plummeted because of their policies.
I mean, it would look like that on paper. Like if you're looking at like just facts, you know, like a stat sheet, it would look like when this particular party was in office, the number just plummets because they stopped reporting it. All right. So the thing about Indiana Jones, though, is I understand that other news companies do it. Maybe I hold our community to a different standard. Maybe I shouldn't.
You really shouldn't.
Maybe I shouldn't. But bottom line is, for 4 months, you complain about a movie and how this person's going to be taking over, and you get the whole fan base riled up, and there are like so many tweets and so many trending. And good on you. You got the views. You pushed it on social media, and then when it was wrong, you just say, "Oh, they're reshooting the movie to not include all the things I was talking about for the last 4 months." That just seems cheap to me. That's not fair. You can't that's not allowed. Come on. It's not allowed to do that. I'll read the article to you. This is what it says. The latest rumor comes from YouTuber Overlord DVD, aka Doomcock, who states, "It seems everything is shifting on Indy 5. Is it, Doomcock? And you're going to laugh your ass off when you hear this, folks, because it not only looks like Phoebe Waller-Bridge has lost her new hat, it looks like she is being cut out of the movie as much as possible." How convenient. It's so convenient to completely be able to backtrack on everything you said. The YouTuber continues, "From what I've heard, and again, I'm stressing that this is just a rumor. Of course it's just a rumor. This is a highly fluid situation, as you might imagine. Disney's come to realize that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is problematic in the part. Bounding in the comment has a typo. In the part. Lines that were meant to be funny and endearing in a sassy Princess Leia kind of way are delivered with Fleabag's patented snarkiness. She's abrasive, she's insulting Indy, and she just weighs down the movie." Now, I totally believe that, by the way. Again, I'm not saying the movie's going to be good. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I read a script. I did read a script. That was sent to me, and I can't say how. But I can totally see how she wouldn't be the right fit for the role. I get that. But saying that she's gonna take over for Indy and wear his hat and the whole, it's gonna be a time travel story where all of Indiana Jones's, all of his accomplishments and adventures are all gonna be superimposed by Phoebe Waller-Bridge is ridiculous. Saying that and then saying she's insulted and Brits, well, yeah, those are two statements. One is I can totally see as being a thing because that's her character. The latter is just complete rumor and there's nothing to actually substantiate it whatsoever.
Well, same is true of all rumors, isn't it?
He later states, "But the bottom line is, folks, in addition to a new ending, they are radically re-editing the film, sources say, to introduce a new element to the story. Phoebe Waller-Bridge gets kidnapped and vanishes for a large part of the film, and she has to be saved by Indy." Oh my God, it's like you've got the script. that we had a month and a half ago, right? The same script that they used to make the movie. Okay. Overlord Doomcock then details, I don't know if they previously had her get kidnapped. Yes, they did. And they're just moving that part to earlier in the film, or if they're trying to do a quick reshoot to cover this. I don't have more information on that, though I hope to have more to confirm or deny this rumor in coming weeks. He does move on in one more part to this, where he says that apparently Bob Iger screened it. And Bob Iger, this is what he says exactly, verbatim. As you know, Bob Iger has returned to the scene of the crime to head up Disney. Well, he's been putting out fires that he started, by the way. Just a heads up. He's been putting out fires that he started. Allegedly, over the holidays, he finally got to sit down and watch Indy 5. According to someone in the know, Bob allegedly watched the entire thing and never said a word. After the movie was done, he allegedly called Kathleen Kennedy and asked her if she was really responsible for what he had witnessed. Allegedly, after a few moments, Iger said to Kennedy, well, I'll give you two choices. Either you fix this or you can foot the bill because I won't allow this to be shown. I don't believe that for a second. That is so outrageous. There's no way that happened.
Well, there's a long track record of people saying that they have sources who overheard Bob Iger speaking with Kathleen Kennedy, and this is what they said, and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, this has been going on for years. I got blocked by Grace Randolph for calling her out on it about 2-3 years ago, something like that. I never believe anything when I hear like allegedly Bob Iger did this, because it's usually never true. You know, it's one of those things where it's like
right.
Adam Schiff gets up on Congress and reads a completely made up phone call between Trump and the Ukraine. You know, yeah. It's just like, okay, you got your perch, you it authority, but you know, you're just spinning fiction because it makes for good headlines.
By the way, that Adam Schiff thing actually happened.
It really did. But the rumor mill, like pretty much anything when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger, when I hear it, I'm just like, probably didn't happen, you know? So like, I always take those things with a big grain of salt. I will say that it's not unusual for movies to go through drastic re-edits, because sometimes they're doing different cuts of the movie based off of feedback, based off of studio notes, based off of like reshoots that they've done. Maybe they cut out a few of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's scenes because they didn't test well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that her role is being dramatically reduced. All types of things happen in post-production, and you know, that's where the movie comes together. Oftentimes people say that the movie is made in editing, simply because that's when you start seeing all the different factors come together.
Right.
So like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they remove some of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's stuff from the film, but that could be a pacing issue. That could be like them trying to hit a runtime. That could be any number of things. So I'm more inclined to believe that like, yeah, they probably cut out some of her stuff than I am to believe that Bob Iger called up Kathleen Kennedy, who he's personal friends with, and it's just like, I'm going to make you pay for this thing if you don't fix it. You know, because anyone who's worked in the movie industry knows it's like, okay, rough cuts. This isn't the final film,
right?
It's gonna, like he was more likely to be like, he'd call her up and be like, hey, I have some notes. Can you do this and this and this with this movie? You know, like that seems more like in line with what I know of how Hollywood works. And this is the guy who shepherded, was it The Force Awakens, all of her Star Wars movies,
right?
And, all that stuff. So like, he knows how to communicate with her and tell her to do stuff that he wants. Like, he's not going to sit there and berate her. He's not going to be confrontational about it. They're friends. It'd be like me calling you up, Brian, and being like, listen, you asshole. I just watched your Indiana Jones video. Fuck you. Okay. That was the most boring. I want my hour of my life back. Okay.
You're paying me for that.
Yeah, exactly. We get the lawyers involved. Like, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. And then the fact that someone would be in that room and then report that is just.
Yeah. And also, when you're watching a movie by yourself, how often do you say words? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I barely say words when I'm reviewing it live. I got to remember to talk so I don't just get copyright claimed. No, yeah, I get it.
Now,
Yeah.
now, if the report was like he was on his phone, playing a Tetris the entire time, then I could see it. Like if he was like, on Twitter while he was watching the movie, I'd be like, that's more believable, But him not saying a word while watching a movie, like that's pretty much 90% of the people who watch movies.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way movies are written. There was slightly more to the story, but it was just basically a recap. The proof that they had for this rumor was that John Williams said that they were like redoing.
They were filming a new ending.
Yeah, filming a new ending. And Mangold finally responded to that, and he said John was mistaken. Maybe he read Twitter too much. We're not shooting new endings. Never did. The film is 99% finished. It's being rated by the MPAA. Now, that's on that note. If it's being rated by the MPAA, then there isn't a whole lot of drastic changes happening.
Yeah, there would be a locked copy of the film at that point.
Right, because in order to get a rating, they have to see what people are going to see, right?
Yeah, you have to see what the public's going to be exposed to.
Right. So if it's being rated by MPAA, it's done. Like it's in the can. It's done.
Yeah, it's picture locked.
And that was December 19th when he said that. So assuming that he's telling the truth and not just.
I mean, I would tend to believe the director of the film in terms of like what's going on with the film more than, someone who's not in charge of it.
Right. Oh, you say, you don't say, well, but he's lying. Why? I don't understand. Like, I gotta understand the thought process. Let me know in the comment section. Why would he be lying? And then also, I know you have some personal history of Mangold that's not right. But his work, right? Almost all of his work is good, right? Like, you have a problem with anything he's done prior to Indiana Jones? I can't think of a single thing.
I mean, I think the only thing of his I've seen before this movie was Logan and Kate and Leopold. I haven't seen many of his films, and I wasn't very familiar with him back when he started attacking me. So, he did
Ford versus Ferrari, Walk the
Line. I'm familiar with his filmography. I'm just saying that like he's never made movies that have personally interested me all that much.
Yeah.
And if he hadn't attacked me, I still wouldn't know who he is.
That's
because I'd be like, well, Steven Spielberg's not directing Indiana Jones. Who do I care is directing? It's just some nobody. It's kind of like what happened with Jurassic Park 3. It's like, oh, Steven Spielberg's not involved. Who cares? So it's such a step down. No matter how good Mangold's previous works are, he's no Spielberg.
No, I get that. But Ford vs. Ferrari was, and Mo Family, thank you. You're correct. That was outstanding movie.
Logan was good things.
Logan was awesome. Like I love that movie. In fact, I almost wish, and the comic book nerd in me is like, I can't wait to see, Wolverine and Deadpool fight on screen in live action. But another part of me is like, we already saw Wolverine's ending and it was awesome. Can we just like not add to that, please? That's my opinion on adding on Hugh Jackman coming back. Like the kid me wants to see it, but the film fan in me wants it to be done because I loved the ending of Logan. It was perfect, in my opinion. So I don't know. Everything he's done.
Well, there's a lot of time between when Deadpool and him might have fought and Logan, so it could be.
I know.
You're it's right. Not old Wolverine.
I know. Yeah. I know. And someone said Logan's in an alternate universe. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just time. I think you're right because it's supposed to be in the future. Although watching that movie now, I watch it with my kids, which I don't know. You probably shouldn't watch that with 10-year-olds.
No, it's not a kid's movie.
So I didn't remember how gnarly it was. And when I turned it on, I was like, oh, how much of this is going to ruin them? Like, should I fast forward through certain parts? Because it was so gnarly.
I don't think Wolverine is for kids. Like any movie he's in, like that's not a kid's movie. Yeah, I'm watching it though, and they're like, I'm looking at it, and it feels like present day. Like I know it's supposed to be in the future, but because it was made in the past and it was supposed to reflect a realistic future, to me, it just looked like present day. Like he was using an Uber app kind of thing. He was like
they're talking on cell phones and it looked like exactly like what today looks like.
I think what wasn't it the actor who plays Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, like as soon as that movie was finished, he just went out and started eating hamburgers again. You know?
Right.
He didn't have to keep that body.
He's like, I'm done. Atheist for the cause. Good luck on selling Brian on a prequel. Yeah, I don't like prequels. I just don't. You know, it confuses me. I have a simple, I'm a small brain. And it's very hard for me to continue to do the math on the chronological order of the story I'm supposed to be watching. I know there are great books that skip around in time via chapters. I don't like those books. Even if, I don't care how great they are. It really affects me in a negative way when things aren't moving in a chronological way, because parts of my brain just sort of snap off at certain moments. And I'm like, wait, when did this happen? Why is this person still alive?
Did you not like the finale of Next Generation?
No, I didn't, actually. Now, I love Next Generation. I feel like they rushed into that finale because they were like, okay, we're not going to be doing any more. So let's try to like wrap it up in a really, meaningful way for the fans. Just like they did with Enterprise, which they ruined that too. And they rushed into this and they showed us I know it's an alternate, it's a possible future or whatever, but it's got to confuse people. And like, how many detractors do you see now talking about Picard season 3 or whatever, 2 or 1 or whatever? And they're like, well, that didn't happen because didn't you see the last episode of TNG? This, and this, and this, and this. Crusher is a captain of a medical ship. And those things aren't the case in these shows. Why? Because that was an alternate future. And it just gets confusing, man. That's why time travel either shouldn't be done, or there's a small percentage of people who should be able to do it because it's never done correctly.
Time travel has to be the central mechanism of your story. Like when Terry Matalas did 12 Monkeys on the Sci-Fi Channel, that's probably the only instance I can think of where time travel was actually done right.
Yeah. No. In TV, I would say that, and maybe season 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that entire...
I stopped watching by then.
Well, yeah. So the thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is an awesome show if you completely ignore the first 2 seasons. You have to watch them, but like, don't look at the quality of the first 2 seasons like it's the quality of the rest of the season. Because that show, when it changed hands, when Marvel decided they no longer have nothing interesting to do with agents, and they're not going to focus on their TV division, and they completely abandoned them after Age of Ultron. When that happened, the show changed hands into people that they no longer had to fit in with Marvel, and they started making a really good sci-fi show.
Yeah, I really liked the Ghost Rider season.
That was a great season. Yeah, Robbie Reyes was awesome.
Yeah.
So that, what else? There's not, when it comes to television, it's very difficult to do good time travel because if it's not,
you have to think it through. Actually,
you have to think it through from start to end, and you have to have an end. And a lot of TV shows don't want to have an end. Mm-hmm. And that makes it hard. See, movies, there's good time travel movies because movies have an end. But TV shows don't want an end. They want to have 7 seasons in a movie, right? So that means they, instead of thinking it through, they think halfway through. And time travel's got to be completely thought through, start to finish.
Yeah, if done right.
Yeah, and so like the way Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did it was they dedicated an entire season with a beginning and an end to this one concept. And it worked because that one season had a beginning and an end,
Yeah, I think I stopped the season where they like went to this like planet, like outer space planet, that was like half destroyed, and I just lost interest.
Oh yeah, that was Earth.
Yeah.
So Quantum Leap is not. Yeah, it's time travel, but it's like, they don't really utilize like They sort of utilize real world stuff, but it's usually bastardized, and his body's not traveling.
Well, the thing about Quantum Leap is that each episode, like when he travels to a different time period, it's self-contained, right? Like it's not like you've seen other aspects of the story and he's going back and changing things. It's right. Like, okay, he went back in time. there's like this isolated episode of adventure that he goes through. He changes the timeline for the better, and then he moves on to a new thing, and they're not all interconnected.
Right.
So there's nothing to mess up.
Right. There's nothing to mess up, and that's what makes it good. And yes, Travelers. Thank you, Archmage. I was going to bring that up.
Oh, Traveler's good. Yeah.
Travelers is a great show. Technically, it's time travel.
Yep.
But it's like their minds are traveling back, and they only travel back that one time. And to be fair, Brad Wright had a beginning and an end. He never went to the network and said, "I want eight seasons." He said, "This is how many seasons we're going to do. This is the beginning, and this is the end." It's just a long movie, and he thought it
really.
through.
I thought that they got canceled prematurely, though, didn't they?
No, it wrapped up. It was actually
really so was it season 3 or season 4? Like that was supposed to be the ending?
Season 3, that's the ending, yeah. And it's very satisfying in my opinion.
I mean it was, but it felt very rushed. I felt like they had like, more story to tell, and they had to truncate it because they got canceled.
Oh, I don't think that's the case at all. I think that I've heard what it's funny because Brad, his handle on YouTube is still Brad Travelers because he only on Twitter. Because he only set up his Twitter in order to promote Travelers.
Travelers, yeah.
So everyone thinks that's like his name. But last time I saw, he always had an end in mind for Travelers. And they had an opportunity to do like a spin-off thing, and he didn't even entertain it because it wasn't going to be as good. It was just going to be a shadow of that, and he wanted to move on. So.
Well, again, Travelers is another instance where like you're not seeing the effects of the time travel.
Right.
Like you hear about the changes that happen in the future because, when the future changes, they start impacting the past because they're sending people back there. It's one of those things where like, okay, people traveled back in time and they're changing stuff in the present, but it's not one of those things where where you have like this long running continuity that's impacted by those things.
Right. Which is what Star Trek. This is why Star Trek, whenever it does time travel, it never really does it right. It makes it worse, right?
Yeah.
Because there's like these 70 years of continuity that you have to consider, and I don't know anyone that can properly consider all that continuity.
Yeah.
And
now like with Discovery, like they're like 1,000 years in the future of the Star Trek timeline. And we're seeing, like pretty much anything that happens in the past at this point, like, before the events of, was it Discovery season 3 or like whatever, it just doesn't matter because you just know everything blows up at some point.
Right. And that's what makes it the worst. Knowing that everything you're watching right now
doesn't matter.
This is why it's somehow Discovery was really bad, all 4 seasons, and then something happened where they go, let's get this toxic show that at least half the fan base just despises. Let's get it out of our time frame, and let's move it forward. We're gonna move it so far forward that it will no longer affect the canon that we're dealing with. Because there's too many problems with it.
Which was the right call.
It was the right call, except for when you got to the future. You made it worse,
yes.
Which makes everything that came before it somehow worse. Discovery not only ruined itself, it ruined Spock, it ruined other canon around the time that it previously existed, and then it ruined the entire timeline when it went to the future, destroyed Starfleet, destroyed dilithium, ruined races. It just ruined. This is why you can't watch Discovery. If you want to enjoy Star Trek, you have to just ignore Discovery. Pretend that it's an Elseworld story that doesn't affect any time whatsoever. Because if you think about it as affecting time, you cannot enjoy Picard. You cannot enjoy Stranger. We can't enjoy anything in Star Trek.
Yeah, and what's crazy is Discovery had the perfect get out of jail free card with the spore drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of time traveling, they could have dimension hopped.
Right.
They could have been trapped in an alternate dimension where they could have done anything they wanted. With the continuity because it wasn't affecting the prime timeline, right?
Right.
And they chose not to do that.
Right. They could have easily done. There's so many ways that Discovery could have been done well, and it could have been done well and not affected canon.
Mhm.
We've talked about this before, but that whole like sliders thing where it's like jumping to different dimensions
Yep.
and you can explore the different what ifs and else worlds that Star Trek can be.
The multiverse, yeah.
Right. You could have had so much fun with that.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
And you could have done whatever you wanted.
Like each season could have been a different dimension.
It's
right?
like Voyager, but Voyager meets sliders. Right.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been brilliant.
Brilliant. And then no. Let's mine the past and then send them to the future and make it horrible. Like
let's grind everything people love into the ground instead.
Yeah. Just grind it up and then force feed it to them through a tube covered in feces. Ugh.
Well, now that Michelle Yeoh has been winning all these awards, it looks like her Section 33 thing is actually going to move forward.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and I think that Section 31 is not. I think it's a placeholder show. Real quick, the super chat. G-Man of G-Man. Why hasn't anyone created a live-action D&D based on the 80s cartoon? Oh, because no one wants it, man. That's the problem. We want it. There is nerds that would love that. They would love like Conan the Barbarian and really cool, rad stuff like that.
No, he's talking about the Dungeons and Dragons 80s cartoon. You know, the one with like the teenagers who enter into the Dungeons and Dragons universe.
Oh yeah. What?
Like, why haven't they adapted that into a live action?
That's a great question, actually. Let's look that up because they're doing.
There's probably a rights thing with it. I know that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, like, you know, they're trying to launch a D&D universe type thing, but who knows what type of rights things were going on in the 80s.
Dude, I remember playing a video game that was based on this in like an arcade when I was like 11.
Are you sure that wasn't like Dragonlance or something like that? The knight with like the sword. He's got like the chainmail. It was like a quick time arcade game, right?
Yeah, it was.
Like,
yes.
Where like it was a cartoon. It was a Ralph Bakshi cartoon, and you had to like hit the buttons at certain times.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. That was like a.
Okay. I remember this cartoon though too.
Oh yeah, I used to watch this on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I have the complete DVD series.
I remember being deeply attracted to the brown girl.
Oh, I like the redhead.
I was really into the caramel girls. All right.
Actually, I really like the Russian girl from Captain Planet. You remember her?
Oh yes, yeah. I also like the little. It's funny because I remember thinking, what would Captain Planet look like as a chick?
Trans Captain Planet.
Dragon Lair. That's what it was called. You're right.
Dragon Lair. Yeah.
So
I lost so much money in the arcade on that game because like the buttons never worked right.
They never worked
so,
right.
Like you'd constantly lose.
And you can't hit them fast enough or slow enough. Yeah. Section 31 is not. It's not that it's not going to happen or is going to happen. It's more like they have to have a certain. They don't have to, but they want to have a certain amount of Star Trek shows for the year, every year, right? They don't want Star Trek shows to be running at the same time. So let's say they need 4 or 5 shows, right? So if they don't have anything better, let's say Picard kills it out the gate and they change their tune. They're like, we want Terry to come back and do a show. Terry's not going to do Section 31. He'll do something that continues the continuity of his creation, which means that maybe they do that show. And next time they need a show, like say when Discovery's ending or whatever, Section 31 will be back on the table again. So like it's this placeholder thing that they put in there because they have a lot of the pieces already set up and ready to go. But it doesn't mean they're ever going to do it. In fact, the only reason they would do it is because everything else was going so poorly that they couldn't continue the other. They don't want to continue the other shows, so they come up with.
Also, Michelle Yeoh's star power is increasing. Like she's had a great couple years, with the Witcher Blood Origins aside. But now that she's got so much kind of like weight in Hollywood, they're like, well, we have her locked in for the Star Trek series. Why not use her? So that's why I think it's actually going to go forward.
Yeah, I read that somewhere that her contract was up in October, but I guess I was told that you can her contract was like, if we don't start production by this date, then she can leave her contract, right? But I guess you can keep production going and never actually do anything by just continually adding it to the docket for the following year to keep the contract stable.
Maybe.
And I don't know how it works, but I can totally see them doing that just in case, because they have this like superstar right now that they can utilize for a Star Trek show. All right, well, that's it for Fake News Friday. It really got off the rails here somehow. I don't know.
Well, evil Shane. So.
We started off at Indiana Jones, ended up back at Star Trek. Look at that. Look at that. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, let's move on. Let's look at what the chat's going on. What is Brian saying right now? What am I saying right now? I don't know. Am I low? Can you not hear me? I wonder if I was too low. All right. Okay. Let's talk about Stargate.
Our favorite topic.
Oh, it's my favorite show, but I don't know about everyone else's. Let's go.
I love Stargate.
Yeah.
I don't love what Amazon's doing with Stargate, but I love Stargate.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we are talking about Stargate. Apparently, SG-1 is back on Prime Video, and everyone is very confused right now. Let's be clear. When Amazon bought MGM for over $8 billion, they added MGM's entire library eventually to Amazon Prime. To all of our delights as Gators, Stargate fans, the best version of Stargate I have ever seen, hands down, was on Prime. It was in as close to HD as you can get for a show that started in 1995 or whatever. It was 16:9 ratio. Fantastic. I can't stand 4:3 ratio. As much as I love Zack Snyder's The Justice League, I was sitting there the whole time annoyed that I wasn't seeing it in 16:9. So we had this like awesome version of SG-1 on Amazon. And then all of a sudden it was pulled at the end of December. And it was pulled, and we made a video about this. It was pulled because it was probably going to go to MGM Plus. And then the deal for MGM Plus fell through because the director asked for this much money. And MGM Plus was like, nah, do it for this much. And obviously he couldn't do it. Shane disagrees with me, but I think that he's right. The guy asked for $50 million. A $50 million budget for the first season. I think it was like 12 episodes. And they wanted him to do it for 10, like a ridiculously low amount compared to what he asked for. He didn't feel like he could. And now it's back on Prime, but it's a crappy version of the show again. I don't understand what's happening. Have you seen what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I have. So there's the original version of these shows that were shot in the 90s with the 4:3 aspect ratio, right? Because back then widescreen TVs were a rarity, and everything was shot mostly on film. This was pre-digital, and that's just how TV shows were shot. And a lot of times these companies have gone back and remastered some of these more popular series to kind of update them to modern technology. So
right,
increasing the aspect ratio and all that stuff.
Yeah, they did it for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They did it for a lot of the Joss Whedon stuff.
Yeah. Now, oftentimes what happens is that because these are altered versions of the originals, they are under a different license, right? So when they're being played on a streamer, the streamer may have the license for the remastered versions, and then those licenses end, and they have to take them off the streaming service. But because Amazon owns the original versions and their rights to the remastered versions have lapsed, they're like, well, we'll just put up the stuff that we own, and it just so happens to be the original crappier version. I know that Stargate Atlantis is still on Hulu, and that's still like the widescreen, like, you know, it looks pretty good.
Right.
So my guess is that, you know, if they're going to put Atlantis on Prime, they're going to go with the license that they have for the original, which is the 4x3, and let Hulu continue with their license for the remastered version. So, like, to me, it's just it's a licensing thing.
Yeah, but Hulu never had a license for the remastered version.
How do you know?
Because the only place we ever saw the original remastered SG-1 was on Prime.
Well, not for SG-1. It was I'm talking about Atlantis.
Oh, perhaps Atlantis.
Yeah, but Atlantis is the remastered version of Atlantis is still on Hulu.
Well, see, I don't think Atlantis was remastered though, because Atlantis was not shot in 4.3. Atlantis was shot and displayed in 16.9. Probably because it was on the 8th season or 7th season, whatever, of SG-1 when it came out.
Well, all I know is that the only justification I can think of for any of this is a licensing issue.
So that's the question. How can there be a license issue between MGM Plus and Amazon when Amazon owns MGM Plus?
Yeah, so I know that MGM Plus, was that something that was in existence before Amazon acquired them?
MGM Plus, before it was MGM Plus, it was Epix, and it was owned by MGM to some degree. And then when Amazon bought MGM, they changed the name recently to MGM Plus.
So if it was Epix, there may be a subsidiary type situation going on there. You know, like I keep going back to like the situation we had with Star Trek, where basically Viacom split into Viacom and CBS, and they both had rights to Star Trek. And even though like they were both kind of like the same company, they had to like license Star Trek out to each other in order to use it legally. So like sometimes these big mega corporations and acquisitions get very complicated because you just don't know the underlying structure of like how, you know, ownership is determined and who owns what rights and who's licensing what and stuff like that. It all gets very stupid and complicated.
Yeah, and I get that completely. The confusing part is that yeah, there could be some crazy rights or whatever.
And from what I understand, you know, I spoke with Joe Flanagan a while back, and he kind of laid down the situation over at MGM when he himself tried to acquire the rights to Stargate shortly after Atlantis got canceled, I think. But he basically said that MGM was run by a bunch of idiots. And I can't say I've seen anything from MGM that would refute that claim. So I wouldn't be surprised if that company was just like a mess legally, in terms of like Amazon having to come in there and sort through all like the corporate structure that created that mess.
Yeah, this is, by the way, this is a really good reason why you should buy physical media, by the way, because if you love something, don't expect that to be there because of rights and because of cancel culture and a lot of other things that exist in our day and age. Streaming services are not guaranteed to have what you love. If you have the ability to buy it, you should just buy it. Case in point, I bought like 5 seasons of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I had them for years. I didn't buy the physical copy. I bought the seasons on Amazon. I thought, hey, this is safe. It's Amazon. It's Amazon Prime. It's in my library. It belongs to me, right? Well, because of the day and age we live, there's episodes of that where they have like blackface and they use naughty words because it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They're not remotely PC. And multiple episodes of things that I purchased was just removed from my account. No notice whatsoever, by the way. Just banned. When I asked Amazon why they would remove something that belonged to me, they said that those episodes are no longer a part of their library. Well, that's not my problem. I bought for those episodes. I didn't even get a refund, by the way. Same with Final Space. I bought Final Space. And because Amazon lost the rights to it, I lost what I purchased.
Yeah, if you read their terms of service, they're very clear on that. Like they basically say that you're just leasing the right to watch this stuff on their thing, and if they lose it, you lose it too.
Yeah, well, that's nuts. I am buying physical copies of everything. If I really like it, if I really want to continue watching it, I'm going to be buying Blu-rays from now on. This is what the original looked like. Syndication 4:3. The actual quality was somewhere around. Probably it wasn't like 480p. I would say a little less than that.
You know what's funny, Brian? Like we were talking a little bit about AI video editing earlier, and there's an AI video editor out there with this thing called Infinite Image. I don't know if you ever heard of this, but it's kind of like a combination of like AI art generation with video editing, where you can basically tell the editing software, "Hey, extend this image," and it'll generate, an extended image based off of like the AI analyzing the frame and figuring out what the background is, what
the sky, the
is,
grass, the whatever. Right?
Exactly. So like with this innovation in AI technology, you could literally go back to all these 4:3 beloved 4:3 shot TV shows and use this to fill in those frames and make it true widescreen. So you're not cropping in. It's actually like
it's actually filling
like 16 by 9. Yeah.
Interesting, because you know what? So there's the dirty way of upscaling, where there is a little bit of AI to it, but basically it's just a smart sharpener, and it sharpens the screen, and then you cut in on the 4:3 and you crop the image and make it 16:9. That is like the dirty way of upscaling. It's like a smart sharpener that sharpens certain parts of the image that is going to be moving, and it makes it look like it's higher quality and it gives you 16:9. But that tech, you wouldn't be losing any data. You would actually be adding to it. In fact, even the textures of their skin, it can sample that, find a comparable.
And there are AI video editing filters that allow you to upscale without losing any significant quality. So like it'll change the grain of the, it'll get rid of the artifacts and stuff like that, and it'll take like a 1920 by 1080 image and dress and upscale it to like 8K, for instance. Jeez. And it'll look like 8K,
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, I was sitting here watching this with my wife. I was super stoked, by the way. I have never gotten my wife to watch Stargate, and I've been with her for 20 years, coming up 20 years this next month. Couldn't get her to watch Stargate. And then for a few months, we had this like beautiful version of Stargate on Amazon. And I was able to get her to watch the first couple episodes, and she was really into it. It was almost like she didn't know that it was my old TV show, but maybe like it looked like a new TV show or a newer TV show to her. And then they just took it away. They just took it away from me, just like that. According to Gateworld, and we're gonna wrap it up. According to Gateworld, this is probably, or it could be, some part of some larger plan to consolidate the Stargate franchise elsewhere, such as MGM Plus. And maybe we're just waiting for Hulu and Pluto and these other places to lose their license, which we did the math a couple videos ago, and they're probably going to lose their license sometime in April, because Hulu will actually lose their license sometime before April, but Pluto signed for a year, which was last April. They're probably going to lose their license in April, unless for some reason Amazon decides to renew their license. I can see the majority of Stargate returning back to Amazon, whether they're going to pop it on to MGM Plus or if it's all going to be under the Amazon Prime umbrella. We'll see. I would like to come back, though, and I want the upscaled version. I feel like they just teased us. Teased us. All right. That's it for that. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button on the way there. Thank you. All right, guys, we are heading to the members section. Sorry about not giving you a warning here, but I was really into that story. We're going to the members section, and that is where we can get a little honest with the folks. I will share a little more about what we know about the new Trek coming up. We're also going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy cast joining DC, Scott Bakula wanting to return to Star Trek, or not caring, because those are two of the same things, apparently. And James Gunn's Superman reboot and why it's similar to Batman. But come on over. The water's warm. The link is in the description. And listen, if you do nothing, it'll just redirect you. And if you're not interested in becoming a member, that's cool too. We'll see you next week. If that's the case, and you're not coming over, that's cool. Love you guys. Oh, and thank you, Matt, for being here.
You're welcome. Evil Shane.
Yeah.
Evil Shane.
Evil Shane. Matt, everyone. Matt. Salty Nerd Podcast. Every